dealing with a falsehood, you're faced with two options. You can accept it or you can reject it. The basis upon which we take one of these actions is a product of our critical thinking capabilities and a desire to know what is true instead of confirming our bias. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. On Brainstorm, we choose the hard truths over the comforting lies. Reason, compassion, skepticism. This is the Brainstorm Podcast.
We are back. To those listening live or to our patrons, welcome back. To those listening weekly, welcome to the Shift to Reason Radio, the Brainstorm production where we take current events and important skeptical topics and try to analyze them critically. I'm Cory, and my panel tonight are Dan.
Hello.
Rene.
Hello.
Lisa.
Still here.
And the always amazing Dave.
I'm doing pretty good.
And we're broadcasting live from Roman Empire Studios in Regina, Saskatchewan. And today is November 23rd, 2018. All right, we have a religious nuttery to get to.
Cornerstone, this might be new to some of you. Scripture says that even our righteous deeds are as filthy rags to God. So even the good things that you do, even things like feeding the hungry and clothing the poor and taking in widows and orphans, as nice as those things are, if not done from the place of obedience to and a relationship with God, are completely worthless and disgusting to God. If you're not daily walking in a place of relationship to God, then the news that we have to bring you is that you're on your way to hell right now.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we heard that one.
I think so. It's been a while.
So what do you got?
Apparently a story that's gone a little bit viral. I mean, like, there's a lot of articles about this. But apparently a young American tourist went to North Sentinel Island to deliver the word of God to the natives there, and well, took an arrow and not in the knee. So apparently he was a 27-year-old Alabama preacher named John Allen Chew. I'm not sure how you pronounce
something like that.
Chau. So
It'd be Chow.
Chow. I would say it was Chow, but
I had a friend named Tammy Chow.
Okay.
Hi, Tammy. If you're listening. Probably not.
So,
Probably not.
At any rate, so I guess he decided he was going to go to this island, which is, I'm not sure if they're the only, one of the last isolated Neolithic peoples on the planet. Like, there have been no contact. They don't even know what language they speak. But they've been isolated. It's technically against the law. Like this island is 1,700 kilometers east of India, and it's kind of looked over by India, and they patrol the island. It's illegal to make landfall on this island. They are totally and utterly isolated. So this guy apparently paid some fishermen to take him to the island. They skirted around the Coast Guard and the police so he could make landfall to try to bring them the word of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so when the first time, according to this article, and I read a different one where they were talking, they had his diary, and he said he attempted to make tried to land earlier, and they shot at him, and apparently he escaped. Supposedly one of the arrows hit his Bible, and he just didn't understand why they were shooting at him. And just didn't quite understand it. And then he kayaked again to the island, and the last they saw of him was his body lying on the beach. And
I also read that they in a different article that they had wrapped a cord around his neck.
The islanders, like, they basically, I think I didn't understand exactly where he died, but they basically dragged him up onto the beach. They tied a rope around his neck and dragged his body up onto the beach. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, part of you goes like, this is kind of, it's sad. But on the other hand, what the fuck were you doing?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
why would you go from Alabama to the most isolated island
Well, and then they're known to be extremely xenophobic and hostile to strangers.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's illegal to go onto the island.
Well, it's actually not because it's dangerous to you. It's because it's dangerous to them. They have no immune system.
They have no immune. Like it's a kind of a mutual thing. But yeah, they're very xenophobic. I mean, they've said there's been no real contact with them. They're not even sure what language they speak. They've, as best they can figure, these people landed there about 60,000 years ago. I mean, and
it's illegal to even take pictures of them. Although they think that they're one of the earliest people who left or Africa. It's like there are some pictures from I think 2006, I think that I found, and they're black, like they look like
because they've caught them like with aerial flybys or whatever. But at any rate, the guy tried to show up and bring him the love of Jesus and took an arrow. Like it's just
apparently after the big tsunami. When was the one in 2006? I believe. Yeah. They did some helicopters. They sent some to look and see if the population was still there.
Okay.
Because they had been like previously decimated by disease, like to the point that they think there's only like 50.
Now they've they estimated somewhere like 50 to 150, 250 people.
Not too many, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so they did a flyby, and I guess they shot at the helicopters with arrows. And they're okay, and then they went
right. Yeah, they obviously do not want to be contacted, but
no,
it's one of those things where once again that weird arrogance of. We got to go save these heathens.
Right.
I'm going to get in my kayak with my Bible.
I mean, I don't know that we definitely know that's what he was thinking, but I mean, who knows? I mean, it's definitely a misunderstanding of their culture or what could happen if he did this. That's interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
It's now a real problem. They're wanting to recover the body, but you
can't go get it.
They don't know how to. They're talking to anthropologists.
I don't even know that they know where it is.
They said the last time they saw it was on the beach.
Okay.
So
why risk going to get the body? Like, I mean, it's actually kind of a disease risk to them, but they've already been exposed. So I don't really know what the point is.
Well, for the family and all that that kind of usual stuff.
No, you don't. That's not a thing. If you
right.
But
sorry, but
it's not worth it.
Well, it's also illegal for them to go on the island. I mean, like it's just they're not supposed to be exposed. I don't know. That seems silly to me.
Yeah,
but if it was your family member, you still may want closure.
No, like that's not.
There isn't much to for closure. It's he's dead.
No, I just I know I get. I just
know where your loved
but that
right.
need does not override the culture's need for.
Well, I mean, like I said, that's why they are having this strong debate. They're not just sending a team in to go grab the guy.
So before we went, or while we were in the break, we kind of talked about this a little bit. Like, so what has the reaction from people been? Like, are people thinking like, yeah, good?
I've seen a lot of like very dark humor.
Yeah.
A lot of, like said the from the Skyrim took the arrow to the knee kind of jokes and a lot of that kind of stuff.
I saw a meme with a guy with arrows in his back laying in the thing, and I can't remember what the words were, but I thought, I
don't think it's nice to make to. I mean, this guy paid with his life. I mean, this is not.
Yep.
I mean, he's dead.
But his family isn't. And if you want to talk about being like,
true.
I mean, whoever.
But there's also part of it where it's like this guy had no training, like nothing. He was just some preacher from Alabama.
Have you guys ever watched the movie Grizzly Man? It's got to be a good 15 years old or something at this point. It's a documentary. I highly, highly recommend. I think it won an Academy Award. Okay. Go check it out. It's about. Oh, I don't want to give it away now because you haven't seen it. It's about it, but you don't care if people give movies away, right, Corey?
No, I don't.
Does anyone else care if I give kind of stuff away?
So, spoiler alert?
Yeah, 15-year-old movie, go right ahead.
Spoiler, yeah. So it looks like Bruce Willis was always dead. No. No. Right. So this guy thinks he's like a grizzly bear whisperer, and he regularly goes out in Wyoming.
Is that the guy with the bear suit?
No, he
that's
just went
a
out,
different guy.
and he would like hang out with the bears and film the bears. And it was like was it North Dakota, whatever it was, and it was ostensibly to like save the bears. Although like the documentary is very cool because it's very restrained. Like there's not a lot of narration or preaching. It's they just kind of let what happens tell the story.
Okay.
You know, I remember they were interviewing like a park ranger, and he's like, who I think also happened to be First Nations, and he was like, I don't really know how he's saving the bears because he's going to see the bears, but anyways, so it kind of seems like the documentary sort of starts out kind of like, oh, this guy is like an environment, you think it's going to be a story about this hero environmentalist who goes and tries to save bears, and it gradually becomes like, oh, this guy is a fucking lunatic, and in the end, he actually gets mauled to death by a bear.
Okay.
That's kind of why it reminds
Spoiler alert.
kind of reminds me of this situation. Like,
Well,
he's going to
that's
save the
what
bear, but it made no sense how he was going to do it. And it's just a stupid thing to do. And it was because he actually recorded everything that he did. And there's his interaction. So his death by a bear was actually recorded.
Oh, wow.
The audio of it was recorded. But the filmmakers actually got a hold of it, but actually showed great restraint and didn't actually show or include the audio, but they included so the producer of the documentary listening to audio and his reaction to it, like he listened to it on headphones, and it's very like, anyway, it's an amazing, it's actually got great music too. It's what's his name, Robert Thompson, I think he's a famous acoustic guitarist who's got kind of a beautiful, it's not metal, sorry guys, but it's got a very beautiful soundtrack. So Grizzly Man's a great movie, check it out. I'm sorry I gave away the ending, but it's worth seeing either way, because it kind of just like, why do people do crazy shit?
Well, it's like that movie Into the Wild where the guy
I haven't seen it.
Just decided to go hiking into the wilderness, and he ended up he had no training, had no survival skills. He ended up just dying off in the middle of nowhere.
You know what I won't do? Go into the wilderness just randomly.
What do you call that type of movie that takes a real story but then puts a different ending on it? Because
no idea.
It's going to be an absolute blockbuster when they write this guy's story, except he succeeds. You know, he goes to the island and he actually converts all these people, saves their lives, and it'll make
saves their souls, and totally
billions,
colonizes the island.
Billions at the box office.
Capitalist
and then Jesus himself comes down and blesses them all for their making the right decision, and this guy's a hero.
Yeah.
You mean Apocalyptico?
I'm thinking
Mel Gibson already tried to make that movie.
I'm thinking like Inglourious Bastards, you know, how they like, you know, it was
alternative history. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. They'll do that about this guy, and he'll just be an absolute.
You know what? Okay. Yes. It's
Apocalypse. I haven't seen that in forever. That was a great movie. I loved that movie. I don't know why. I loved that.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
It's Mel Gibson, but
but he wasn't in it, so it made it better.
No.
That
honestly, when I was reading this, when I heard this story and reading this article, all I could think of was the last season of Archer, where they were off. What they went visit the natives and the cannibals. That's all I could think of.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
Eat a
I don't know.
dick, cannibals.
I watched the show
Well,
either.
they don't actually eat the penis, but the testicles, on the other hand. Shut up, Noah.
Yeah, I don't know about this guy.
Oh, we didn't even mention how there's a movement of people that want to have these murderers on the island brought to justice.
Yeah, I saw that on Atheist Republic. Yeah.
yeah.
What?
Damn murderers.
We're going to hold them to our laws?
Do soldiers defending your country get classified as murderers if they shoot somebody that's actually like viewed as an invader?
No, they're patriotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're black nationalists.
I mean, the fact that he had to skirt the law himself, the very least, this was trespassing.
they were just standing their ground, right?
At the very least, this was trespassing. And yeah, he was just standing their ground.
Definitely standing their ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
What
guy
about-
keeps
what is
insulting
that
me
thing?
in the group chat. Can we get this guy banned, or what's the rules here?
No.
No,
Are you talking about yourself?
no, I don't know. Some Leto person keeps
What's the
insulting me.
they call it castle law? Everybody wants to put into practice in Canada. Well, castle law, somebody invades your territory, you're allowed to shoot them.
Well, we're debating that right now, are we not, in Saskatchewan?
Yeah.
Isn't there,
Yeah.
Even though we don't have the death penalty for actual crime here.
Yeah.
It's
You know what, though? And I think the majority of people supports this, unfortunately. So
because it's a backwards thinking place.
it is. Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, on the surface, you can be like, yeah, it makes sense
Guys,
that if I own property and
Come on, what could go wrong?
Right. It's not like innocent people could get killed.
Yeah. They're not
Well,
Not like
innocent.
that's
Depends what
ever
you mean by
happened
innocent,
before.
Cory.
Think about it that way, Cory.
Oh, true. Yeah.
They're not innocent.
Fuck.
They stole my stuff.
They came
or
onto
no,
my
they're
land.
they're about to steal your
About to
stuff.
steal my stuff. And
Yeah, so I mean, death seems logical.
I mean, legitimately, people have been attacked on their property. Like,
Right,
And,
yeah.
and I get that.
But you've always been allowed to use to physically defend yourself if
Yes.
you think you're in imminent danger.
Yeah.
So
Yes, but it's that gray zone of legitimate force.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which has next to nothing to do with this. Dumb
No, we.
this dumb fuck showing up with a
we've
Bible.
veered.
Did they use legitimate force?
All right, so did we arrow this story to death yet?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, that just did it.
Hey,
Yes,
it's
we
done.
have.
Yeah.
All right, but actually, Renee's got a second story.
That's just almost as goofy. So apparently, where's the article so I can sort of quote it? Apparently, the Swedish heavy metal band Ghost is going to be playing in Texas, and of course, it being Texas, they want to protest against Ghost playing in
Right.
Texas, and of course, there was by a local pastor who thinks because Ghost is satanic that they don't want them banned because they're for free speech,
Right. So naturally, they don't want to ban.
and you have freedom of religion, therefore you have freedom of irreligion. But they have to question the damage that this will do on the community, because as Christians, they truly believe in the devil. So this band that is they're gleefully satanic, which they are, could be have detriment to the community. Which all of it is. It's the same old argument that has been around for as long as heavy metal has been invented. Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin.
Oh, I've seen Footloose. I know.
Yes. Alice Cooper, Motley Crue, Marilyn Manson. All of them, because the satanic elements and overtones are
It's
bad on
interesting that
society.
it's still a thing, though.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, is this 1999?
yeah, I mean the thing is,
1987?
it's the same. It's a similar shtick. It's just that Ghost, they've just upped it just that little bit more. Yeah, well, sort of.
Tell us about this band Ghost. I've never heard of them.
Okay, I rather enjoy them, but basically
It's
they.
noise.
I
I
agree to
believe you, Dave.
I agree to disagree there, Dave.
I respectfully
I
disagree.
respectfully
I
disagree.
can scientifically prove it's noise. Anyway, continue.
Anyway, so their whole kind of their shtick is that there's usually the lead singer takes on like he's gone through about 4 different characters of this satanic ministry. Well, basically the first 3 were like some version of an anti-pope. They're the Papa Emeritus 1, 2, and 3, and the current one is Cardinal Copa. And so, and they every time they release a new album, it's a new character, and they have like a big reveal, and the videos are hilarious. And the rest of the band are the nameless ghouls. Like they have these face masks, and it's a big production. Their fans they call them members of the clergy, and their music is very 70s
Right.
metal-esque, so it's very gleefully satanic. They even mentioned in the interview about how when they were recording one of their albums, they wanted to have a big vocal chorus, and was very. The lyrics were all very satanic, and they actually had a hard time getting a vocal choir in Nashville where they were recording. So they had to move to California to get this vocal choir to sing these lyrics, which of course the pastor just thought this was awesome. So of course they had to go to the heathen California to get it recorded. So I mean, it's all the same shit. It's it's a shtick. It's a thing. Manson did it. Alice Cooper sort of did it. Black Sabbath definitely did it. Like everyone in the death metal community does the same shit. Black metal. It's all the same shtick.
Britney Spears did it again.
Yes, although I'm sure there's a satanic element somewhere in her music, but not as overt.
Yeah, a little more hidden.
Yeah. And it was actually kind of funny because I actually listened to the radio. Like they have in the article, they have a clip from the radio call-in show. And it was really funny was because there was a lot of people calling in. We're just like, oh no, it's just fun. It doesn't mean anything. No, as a Christian, we believe in the devil, so this is actually dangerous because they're devil worshippers.
Funny thing is like their fan base is so minimal compared to like everybody else around them, right? Like around here, like it's like what I don't know, like why are they making a big deal of it? Like it's not like when Manson was touring in the States back in the day,
right?
And
Manson was filling up stadiums,
exactly. Like then you kind of understood like why they focused on him. Not that I agreed with it. It's like he was an actual influence. But like, this is like an obscure metal band that's listened to by metal people. Like it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's not invading the mainstream.
You're offending Renee.
Their newest album has hit number 3 on the charts, but but it's still minuscule in comparison to Manson. Like
which charts did they hit 3 on?
I can't remember. It was a metal chart.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Which it nowadays it means nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Instead of millions of copies, it's like 100,000 copies, and you get up that high up on the charts.
That's what I mean. It's like it's funny that they would target that. It's like why it's not having any real effect on like.
Well, it's just that it's just that they were playing there, and because Ghost is so, they've actually managed to up the ante on Manson to a point.
Sure,
because of the whole,
because it's not about impact, right? Like they don't recognize the actual effect; they just care that it's overt and extreme.
all their lyrics are very Satan.
They're not hiding the Satan.
Yeah, they're not hiding. I wish I could do the church lady voice, but I can't. Satan,
right?
But like, if you listen to the top 10 hits right now, you can hear about sodomy and what else? Date rape and violence. And
really?
Like you can hear everything. It's just like everything's.
You can't understand it.
Yeah, you might not understand
because it's all auto tuned and mock. No, I was thinking more mumble rap, but
yeah. Top 10 music is very very vulgar for the most part.
Yeah.
Tekashi 6ix9ine just went to jail, actually. Speaking of top 10 music, but anyway, or not to jail, to court.
Yeah, and he is supposedly facing a long time in court, but anyway,
he'll be in jail.
Yeah.
Who is this person?
Who knows? Who cares?
Who is Tekashi 6ix9ine?
A rapper that was very famous is very famous
for like a hot minute.
Yeah, he's got a couple of hits.
So at any rate. Once again, 40 years down the road, it's the same bullshit revisited.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
Right. All right. Let's do the Woo Report.
I'm not a scientist, but if I can tell you your science sucks, then your science really sucks.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck.
So I get to talk about the carnivore diet from McGill.ca.
Oh, I know a guy doing that. Sorry, continue.
Is that right?
I do.
Yeesh. So it's quite popular right now because of Jordan Peterson and his totally unqualified daughter. So Peterson's daughterson makes the claim that
I didn't realize they were Icelandic.
Yeah. She said that she was chronically ill as a youth and had a whole bunch of issues I don't really feel like listing. And then she did an elimination diet, which means she stopped eating certain foods and eliminated one thing after another until the point where she was just eating beef all the time. And then says that fixed all her problems. She also claims that her dad's depression is under control and that his gum disease went away and that her mom's colon disease is gone.
Are you serious?
Yeah, all from this all beef diet, supposedly.
Fuck off, Petersons. Wow, like you weren't bad enough as it is.
Right. But essentially it's the opposite of being a vegan, rolled up with some weird version of American libertarianism and toxic masculinity. It's a very strange ideology, this beef thing.
Humans are strange apes.
Yeah. Yeah, much stranger than the other apes, I think.
I don't know. That's a weird one.
Yeah.
Continue.
So this article, it actually went through from McGill.ca in the OSS, which was, I can't remember what the OSS was, but it's the OSS segment under McGill.ca. They have a newsletter though, so I subscribe to it. It's science.
But you don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, it's science though.
Okay. We believe you.
So this article goes through a series of claims about the carnivore diet and what the evidence is for them. First, the claim is that you will lose weight, which is not terribly controversial if you're restricting your calorie intake and
not eating sugar.
Yeah.
That's probably huge.
Yeah, probably. No carbs. Makes a big difference. Probably did lose weight. Not terribly surprising. The second one is plant food is toxic, which they specifically target like lectins, gluten, and phytic acid. And these are all kind of true to some degree. Like lectins aren't recommended for consumption, which is why you're supposed to soak and boil beans, which kills the lectin in them. Gluten can cause celiac disease in about 1% of people. And phytic acid is not actually an issue in North America, but can be an issue in countries where anemia is a problem and getting proper nutrition is hard. So I guess not really a thing that matters here. The third claim is that you won't be constipated from your all beef diet. There is one study that shows that fiber can cause constipation and that a lack of fiber will not cause it. But there are multiple other studies, meta-analysis, and systemic reviews that contradict that study. So it seems pretty reasonable to go with the scientific consensus on this. Fiber is probably important, and all beef diet is not good. No more brain fog. They believe that eating all beef will improve your mental clarity. So, yeah, there's zero evidence for that.
Can I say something about that? There's a physician at work who did the keto diet, so like low carb diet.
Right.
And he said that he found it was actually much harder to think that way, and he actually had to stop doing it just because it was impairing his mental capacity. He's like in the middle of exams. But the reason that happens is because your brain can only metabolize
glucose.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
Our brains run on glucose.
My in-laws are on that diet right now.
The keto diet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I mean, it's whatever. Keto's not as extreme as this. Yeah.
No, it is bad though. Like a lot of the same things that this all beef diet has, the same claims come from keto diets.
Yeah, but
too.
keto gives you basically you can and should on keto eat as much fiber as you can.
Right.
So you get,
so that's good.
Like if every carb you eat, if it's fiber, it doesn't count. And so like if you have something that's 20 grams of carb, but it's got 10 grams of fiber, that's only counts as 10 net carbs. Like, so they make it so they encourage you to eat as much fiber as possible.
Okay.
Which is the opposite of this.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah. So there's zero evidence that this will help any mental clarity. And in fact, the brain runs on glucose. So it's probably the opposite. Number 5 is this supposedly cured Michaela Peterson's juvenile arthritis, which is relatively common and has a remission rate of about 47 to 50%. So
she had a 50-50 chance of getting cured anyways.
Yeah, that's right.
Got it.
And then the article discusses some concerns with what might come from this. The first is a vitamin deficiency, which I thought seemed obvious. Like
scurvy.
Yeah. Fruits and vegetables are pretty important. I don't know. It's ridiculous to me that anybody would think that they could eat the same thing all the time and not have a negative effect. A protein and uric acid overload. So overloading your uric acid causes gout.
Yep.
And overdoing your protein can damage your kidneys. And then, of course, some of these people add salt to their beef, and that can increase your blood pressure if you're overdoing it. Number 3 is cholesterol. Too much meat raises your cholesterol and puts you at a higher risk for heart disease. There's also a higher cancer risk. Higher meat intake is associated with a higher risk of colon cancer.
Yes, that is indisputable.
And there's an interesting point at the end of this article where they talk about food is more than fuel. And I don't really get this point. Like they talk about how food relates to culture and they try to make the importance of that be part of this refutation of the all beef diet. But I didn't really get it.
Well, some people may not want to give up certain foods because it's part of their culture. Is that theory? Like,
yeah,
like
I think so. And
you go to Thanksgiving dinner and you won't eat the Brussels sprouts. I mean,
yeah, I don't know.
Thanksgiving isn't actually for like
right.
10 and a half months.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess, I don't know. As far as I can tell, the all beef diet is not good.
So yeah, I have a friend who's, I don't know if he did it because of Peterson, but he's eating all meat. Only meat, no vegetable, nothing
Yeesh.
but meat. And I'm just like, I'm like, so not having any problems. He knew I was going to ask about poop because like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're going to be like.
And he's like, nope, no problems. And then he's like, but then what he said to me, and I didn't really have a great reputation for this, it was, well, look at like Inuit diets. They don't have a lot of plant matter. All they eat is like seal fat and whatever, caribou, whatever. And I'm just like, I don't know, right? So I asked one of the doctors at work, which is why I brought up the whole glycogen or glucose thing. And, I mean, I don't know of any studies that look at that. Like, I mean, how do Inuit people like
supposedly many of the nutrients that they would get from vegetables, they get from whale meat.
Yeah, they get it from the blubber, which is the fat.
Mm-hmm.
Which you don't see any of these people who are on the all meat diet eating whale meat.
And I don't mean, is it possible that there's like a certain enzyme or something in certain Inuit cultures that allow them to digest, to live? I don't know.
I know
there's a higher propensity for diabetes, for example. So once there's an exposure to carbs, that's what
I was going to say. Is I was wondering if there's an element of evolution in there that. Because they've just never had.
I wouldn't call it evolution just because I don't think
that's the wrong word.
I would imagine it would be like an enzyme or an adaptation or a
because they've never been exposed to it. So
I don't know. What do I know?
Yeah.
Nothing.
At any rate, all beef diet sounds like
it sounds stupid.
It sounds like you're gonna
even all meat. Like let's say you also allow whale blubber. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't sound great.
No.
I mean, I don't know. What's my reputation on that? I don't know. But there's not any study. How bad is our nutrition science as it is? There's like we don't know like even the most basic things about human nutrition. Like never mind, has anyone studied an all meat diet? Like,
right.
How does that? Well, I don't know. Who the fuck knows? I don't know.
We know enough to say that you need certain things.
We know enough to say that GI cancers, gastrointestinal cancers, are strongly correlated with lack of fruit and vegetable intake. So
yeah.
There's that. And you know what sucks? Colon cancer. Also stomach cancer. Yeah. All of those things suck a lot.
Yeah.
Please don't get them.
That's right.
If you can all avoid it. I'm serious.
Just mix your goddamn diet up.
I don't know. I mean,
like, how fucking hard is that?
I don't know.
Like, it's pure speculation with no decent reason to think that this is going to improve your health.
Yes, that's I think probably the best argument against it is there's no actual basis for adopting this. Agreed.
All right.
I won't do it. Thanks, Cory.
You mean Peterson's family doesn't follow facts?
Go figure.
It wouldn't. Yeah, I know.
What? For some reason, all that's going through my mind is, it's that scene in what was it, Wolverine Origins, where they're all riding the elevator and goes, "Yeah, I'm trapped in a room full of 5 guys, all on a high protein diet."
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah. It's so weird. It's a weird thing to even think would cure your arthritis or your depression or your...
Unless you really just like cheeseburgers.
Or your colon cancer. Like, that one really pisses me off.
This is why Trump's in perfect health.
Right.
Because he lives off of KFC and cheeseburgers.
Okay, both of those have carbs. High carbs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Is this the diet that Peterson was on when he drank apple cider vinegar and was awake for 7 days straight?
No, I don't think. I think he started that after this.
Oh, okay.
Or this after that.
He should really just stick to like the very narrow field that he has some knowledge in and just leave the rest. Like, not that he's saying this, his daughter's saying it, but still.
I'm not sure he has... Even in his specialty.
Yes, isn't
he in
some.
Is it
He
psychology?
used to have some knowledge.
He has some social psychology knowledge that's worth it, and that's about it.
Are you sure?
No, I have read some things that he said that are.
I think he doesn't doubt you, Dave, but I don't know.
He is a licensed, what was it, clinical psychologist?
Exactly.
Although,
but that doesn't
would you send your Dave? Would you send your
best of it in his field?
Would you, Dave? Would you send your loved one to be treated by him?
Well, because he has no social science understanding.
So then, therefore, not good.
Well, for sure, but I'm just saying he has some narrow expertise.
Well, at the very least, I'm not going to his daughter for fucking diet advice.
Exactly, I'm not going there either. So.
She's totally unqualified, like completely, not even close to anything near qualified.
I guess psychology has some social science in it, but there's a lot of hard science in it too.
It's fine. I just don't think.
All right, let's do some science.
Speaking of science,
that is you.
Oh, me.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/Brainstorm Podcast Gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
Hey everybody, we're the Utah Outcasts, and we want you to listen to our show.
We're a rowdy bunch of super liberal atheists that reside in the state of Utah, who bring you current events and featured content on a semi-weekly basis.
Whether it's us poking fun at the religious right or ranting at the world in which we all reside, we want to borrow your ears for about an hour twice a week.
Hey, and don't forget to tell them the best part about it.
Oh yeah!
The show's free for all.
It is indeed. So if you like free, we're available through iTunes, Overcast, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, Patreon, and even in full HD video via YouTube. Give us a listen. You won't be sorry.
If you base medicine on science, you cure people. If you base the design of planes on science, they fly. If you base the design of rockets on science, they reach the moon. It works. Bitches.
Yes, science!
All right. So what do you got?
I chose this article. I like it. Okay, it's from CBC News on November 15th. Rare microbes lead scientists to discover new branch on the tree of life. Oh my God, I should have remembered to figure out how to pronounce this. hemimastigotes, I think, are more different from all other living things than animals are from fungi. Okay, this is super cool, and it's Canadian. Okay, so Canadian researchers have discovered a new kind of organism that is so different from other living things that it doesn't fit into the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, or any other kingdom used to classify known organisms. 2 species of the microscopic organisms called hemimastigotes were found in dirt collected on a whim during a hike in Nova Scotia by Dalhousie University grad student Yana Iglet. Now, I think this is like partly this story has captured my imagination because I used to be a grad student, not in Nova Scotia, but on the other coast. But like I guess she and a bunch of grad students went out for a hike. She collected some dirt samples and she found this insanely rare microbe that literally is different than any other life form ever discovered.
That's really cool.
So the genetic analysis shows that they're more different from other organisms than animals and fungi, which are in different kingdoms, are from each other, representing a completely new part of the tree of life. Iglet and her colleagues report this week in the journal Nature. And again, and this person's living like the grad student dream, to publish in Nature as a grad student. Like Nature is like the most prestigious science journal there is.
Right.
So it's pretty amazing. Like
it's a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal. So they represent a major branch that we didn't know we were missing, said Dalhousie biology professor Alistair Simpson, Iglet's supervisor and co-author of the new study. There's nothing we know that's closely related to them. In fact, he estimates you'd have to go back 1 billion years, about 500 million years before the first animals arose, before you could find a common ancestor of hemimastigotes and any other known living thing. Not like with humans, but like any other known living thing. So they they kind of go on to explain that she found the vials on a hike, and back in the lab she soaked the soil in water, which often revives microbes that have gone dormant, waiting for the next big rainstorm. Over the next few weeks, she checked on the dish through the microscope to see what might be swimming around. One day, about 3 weeks later, she saw something that caught her eye, something shaped like a partially open shell of a pistachio. It had lots of hairs called flagella sticking out. Most known microbes with lots of flagella move them in coordinated ways, but not this one, which waved in a more random fashion. And she said, it's like these cells never really learned that they have many flagella, Iglet said with a laugh. Anyway, so she kind of identified that they looked really strange. Hemimastigotes were first seen and described in the 19th century, but at the time no one could figure out how they fit into the evolutionary tree of life. And they've been kind of a mystery to biologists ever since. When they do analysis of their DNA, they actually do have cells that have many organs called organelles. That's different than eukaryotes, which are like, that's different than a bacteria or archaea. So we are eukaryotes because we have cells with organelles. Anyways, so these hemimastigotes have organelles. They've only discovered about 10 species, and up to now, nobody has ever been able to do a genetic analysis. So the only 10 species have ever been discovered, and this is the first time they've ever been able to do a genetic analysis on this type of organism. So they found these things, and they found 2 of the organisms. They named them after, I'm going to try to say it, Hemimastix Kukwesjik, after Kukwes, a greedy, hairy ogre from the mythology of the local Micmac people. So that's how they named the organism.
Cool.
I guess this organism actually hunts. It actually shoots little harpoons to attack prey, such as spumella. So these are a microorganism that attacks other microorganisms, but it's really cool. And one really great thing is they actually were able to domesticate the species. They can actually...
How does that work?
They grow it. Based on the first one, they've been able to grow it. They've grown other ones. So, and they're going to keep doing research on it. So these organisms form their own super kingdom, a grouping so big that, so animals and fungi, we are actually in our own super kingdom. These ones are in a totally different one.
Wow.
Yeah. So, super, super cool. And she says like this is going to be it for her career. Like, I mean, not like for her, like not like her, it's all down here.
But
no, but like this has got to be probably the only, like the biggest discovery she'll probably ever make in her career. And this
You're never hearing from me again.
Well, no, not necessarily. She can still be really important, but it's just really, this is a once in a lifetime thing. And to discover it on a hike as a grad student is just mind-boggling. And it's Canadian. It's from Nova Scotia. So I thought it was super, 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 super cool. Sorry to go on about it for so long. But yeah.
Kind of makes people want to science.
Yeah, that's right. Just dirt samples.
I thought that as I was reading this, I'm like, yes, I was totally like, oh, grad school. And I'm like, no, grad school is like an endless slog of suffering. Like, what am I thinking? But every time you hear about science, like, oh God, it sounds so cool. So I hope this doesn't encourage anyone to go to grad school. Like, I wish all of our listeners well. Like, anyways.
I don't want you to suffer.
No, please don't go to grad school. It'd be stupid. But like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Because you won't be this person, right? Like you won't.
Right. What are the odds that you're going to be the one who has the 1 in a million, one in a billion?
I remember I was like the last few podcasts I've been talking about this talk I was going to go see by Vicky Caspi, who's going to talk about fast X-ray bursts. So I went and she talked about how she had this one grad student. She assigned the task of looking at this one patch of sky just to see, because basically they're seeing these. This is totally unrelated, but they're seeing these to this microorganism thing. But they're seeing these random, insanely intense bursts of X-rays, and when it happens, they never see it happen in the same part of the sky again. It happens once, and they never see it again. But just to be sure, when there was one in particular that they saw, and it burst, and then she assigned a grad student to just keep watching that area, even though like they've seen like 50 of them and they've never seen any of them repeat. This one happened to repeat, and it repeats not regularly, but this grad student happened to have found the first fast X-ray burster that repeated, which is insane, right? So again, I'm watching this talk. I'm like, oh my God, science is so cool. And I'm like, no, don't be stupid. That one grad student out of over 50 minions discovered this, and most grad students discover nothing. So
over the course of however many years,
So I'm not telling anyone to go to grad school.
Random spot in space forever, and it's probably very highly likely you'll see nothing.
But then he sees something, and it's insanely important. And they get a publication in Nature. So like, it's just. Science is like that, right? It's like a crap. It's a crapshoot. So no, it's not all or nothing, but it's a crapshoot.
No, for the grad students, I'm saying
definitely
like
they're assigned
they're assigned these tasks where it's like.
I mean, you don't have to have like something like that happen to you to be like a successful scientist and have a career and blah blah blah. It's just that kind of shit you hear about happening. You're like, oh my God, it's so amazing, but no, come on, people, don't go to grad school. Be smart.
Don't go to grad school.
Well, I'm just warning. I don't want anyone saying, you inspired me to go and now I'm here because of you. Like, we would give potential grad students like tours and we would, they would come and then we'd talk to them about what it's like, blah, blah. And they'd always be like, oh, Lisa, you're so honest with your feedback of how it is. I'm like, yeah, because if you come here and you realize it's shit, then like you're going to piss on me if like you think it's, you know what I mean? Like, no, like, come on, man. Like, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, if you come despite that, that's fine, but I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. That would be rude.
It would be, and it would be wrong. Like, I don't know. Suffer through grad school with your eyes wide open. That's what I say.
Right.
Anywho, that's my story.
All right, we have a political story next.
Everybody complains about politicians. Everybody says they suck. Yeah! Well, where do people think these politicians come from? They don't fall out of the sky. They don't pass through a membrane from another reality. They come from American parents and American families, American homes, American schools, American churches, American businesses, and American universities, and they're elected by American citizens. This is the best we can do, folks. This is what we have to offer. It's what our system produces. Garbage in, garbage out.
And it just gets worse all the time.
I gotta listen to more Carlin. Like that, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So I suppose this is my segment, right?
You betcha.
All right, cool. So this article that I chose myself was in the Washington Post, and it was titled
"Fake News."
Yeah, basically.
Sorry.
It's titled "Nothing on this page is real: How lies become truth in online America," and it was an interesting read. Half of the article was basically spent talking about how some very liberal people kind of got fed up with the way things were going in politics, kind of like pre-Trump, and they're like, well, let's just set up like the most blatant fake news page ever, because you see the success of things like the Onion.
They named it Breitbart.
Yeah, well, you see like the success of outlets like the Onion, and in Canada you've got Beaverton, And there's all sorts of other ones that basically post fake news articles and are like, relatively clear about saying this is satire. And still often enough, people's grandmas accidentally share it as thinking that it's real.
Yes.
And it's super funny when they do that. And so these guys, they set up this site and wanted to run it a little bit differently. They thought, let's set this up and just create our own fake news stories, see how many idiots share it non-ironically, and then just mock the shit out of them. Like, go comment later and be like, haha, you stupid conservative idiot, this is fake and you shared it as real, you're so stupid. Like, be more careful about what you share because there's fake news out there that we're creating. Anyway, so it was really cool seeing that aspect of it. And then on the flip side, they did this little interview / study into the life of basically one of the people who would typically fall for this. And they examined her life where her story over a couple years, where she just, she'd start with her preconceptions and she would find pages that on Facebook that say what she feels, and then she'd share them. And then, and it's just this continuous self-fulfilling prophecy where as she continues to like and share and comment on these things, she ends up finding more and more pages that from other people that similarly share such things. And until her entire Facebook, and I can't recall if I believe it said she was in a wheelchair or inaccessible. So this was her life. I mean, her Facebook became her life, and it was a complete echo chamber. And so when she eventually came across this page and started sharing their stuff unironically, one example they gave was they posted a picture of Trump at a speech, and they circled two people that were blurry in the back, and they said, and they photoshopped it and said, Michelle Obama and Donald Trump gave out a fig branch to Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama. And what did they do? They gave him the finger while he was giving a speech. And so, of course, she said, yeah, liberals are terrible people. This is I'm going to share this. And so then after this group went back and started commenting on some of the people that shared it and said, like, oh, you're so stupid. This never happened. This is actually so-and-so and so-and-so, and we photoshopped it, and this is fake news, and, be more aware of what you're sharing. But her response was not what they wanted. I mean, what they really wanted in the end was for people to be embarrassed about what they shared and to, rethink when they looked at news to, fact check it and look for other sources to find similar corroboration before they started spreading other things. But instead, she just said, oh, those nasty liberals, and just kept on doing exactly what she was doing before. So
Right.
she lives her entire life in a bubble of essentially fake news and continuously spreads it, but it's now become so much of her life that it's real. It's very strange.
What's the name of the organization that does the website? Or I don't want to share anything from it by accident.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It is called America's Last Line of Defense.
Oh, I'm always checking that one. Fuck.
Right?
Are you really?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, every day.
No, I don't get your jokes. I'm sorry, but
my jokes are to say everything very deadpan, and that is all.
Okay, all right. So I mean,
and I think I'm funny, and no one else does.
And this is kind of what I was asking our first Jen Gunter there about, do people believe this stuff because they themselves are honest people and wouldn't purposely spread mistruths, and then they share it because they want to believe that everyone is like them. They just can't believe that people would actually literally create fake news. So they think, well, it must be true, but just the liberals don't want me to think that it's true.
Jeebus.
I know. This is like a wow.
But there's lots of
Inception.
There's lots of studies that show that people will double down on beliefs when you try to challenge them.
Corey debunked that. That's bullshit, right?
Well, I think it's more complicated than just...
Yeah, but the idea, though, is that why would you be trying to convince me so hard that global warming is real, if I wasn't onto something?
Right. I must know the truth or else...
I believe that's a thing. Is it not a thing?
Well, it is a thing, sort of. I mean, it's...
Tell me the truth, Cory.
I can't remember the exact details, but there has been some back and forth about what they called the backfire effect. But there was a recent podcast of the Daily, I think it was, and they interviewed people who
I taught you about this Daily. I feel so proud.
They interviewed people who like basically had a Facebook page that promoted right-wing propaganda. And it was, I don't know, they just would pick headlines that would be like outrageous and just.
Yeah, that's exactly what these guys said they do. They literally got into a room with a bunch of their liberal friends and said, what viral insanity should be spread this morning? You know, and then they're joking around like, well, you know, he starts typing out breaking news, big capital letters. Then he's like, should we announce that Hillary Clinton died overseas during a secret mission to smuggle more refugees into America? Or should we say President Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for his courage in denying climate change? The more extreme we become, the more people believe it, he says.
Jesus. It's a very strange world we live in.
You know,
yeah, and he always says, share if you're outraged. I love those ones.
But aren't they doing a disservice? Like, in the end, like, creating more bullshit? Like, I
think...
or is there just so much bullshit, it's just noise? And
wasn't that on Revisionist History? He examined the impacts of satire and how it can actually...
Yes, I saw that one. I heard that one. I mean, I didn't see it. It's a podcast. Duh.
Like, people who used to watch Colbert... thought that he was on their side.
Well, yeah, like Colbert actually had a non-zero number. Like half his fans were like liberals, like Stephen Colbert actually is, and realized and thought it was satire. But half, like not half, I'm exact, but whatever. A non-zero, non-negligible percentage thought were conservative and just were like, yeah, he's telling you like it is. And the thing what I know that is so genius about Colbert is that he, you know, kind of left you like. There was that room for debate, even though I think it's pretty clear it was all tongue in cheek. But anyways,
well, and now you know that he's a liberal guy, right? Like
do we?
Well, I'm confident.
Somebody made a comment recently. I don't know who it was on his show about like how he used to be like a laughing conservative. Now he's just a depressed liberal or something like along those lines.
Yeah.
Now that he's on the Tonight Show or whatever, or the late night.
Yep. But he was always a depressed liberal. He was just satirizing.
He just does it he did it so well. Like he was such.
Yeah. I don't know.
So I didn't have much more to say. It was just, I mean, I don't know much more we could talk for hours about fake news and about people that are creating this. It's not going away. So really, all that we can hope for is that people develop a sort of critical thinking. I know it's kind of funny to say that, but you'd hope that it's people are taught better in schools to differentiate.
Hoping people will develop critical thinking is probably not a very effective strategy.
It doesn't seem to be working.
I don't know. I mean, it's
improving
better.
our education system so that we can teach a new generation to be critical and think about sources. And I mean, when I used to teach science classes in university, I prioritized this. But I really did, like in the sense that like the students were like so focused on what's the right answer, and I'm like, no, guys, like the point is the process. Like the point is like like you're not going to remember these facts that I'm telling you in this class in like even a year. You won't remember them, most of them, but you may remember that. You know, we think this because of this, and that could change, and that's how science works. And, you know, like, that's what I want you to take away.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
All right. Dave, do you want to do your story?
Yeah, do I have a bumper?
Yeah, you have a bumper.
What we're now seeing is a revival of hate, anger, or fear, much of it encouraged by the rhetorical excesses of the leadership, which are stirring up passions, terror.
All right.
Yeah, something like that.
Is that our new hate bumper?
That's not the new one. That's the one I made for last time.
Can we make it Anakin Skywalker yelling, "I hate you"?
I thought I used to think that I had a song that just yelled hate over and over again, and I can't remember what the name of the song was.
Was it Hate?
It wasn't, oddly.
I posted one for you on Chris Rock has a good one on hate.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Anyways.
All right.
Sorry, Dave. Tell us a story.
There's a story.
What do you got?
About the Ontario PC Party.
Right.
Just to give some quick context, because I know some of our listeners are not Canadian or in touch with Canadian politics. The Ontario legislature elected the PC majority here in the recent election in 2018. And why that's significant is because Doug Ford, who is the brother of crack smoking Rob Ford, who everybody knows.
Slip.
You will know who Rob Ford is because he was everywhere, even in the American media. I think David Letterman had the crack smoking mayor. Was it him or was it Jimmy Kimmel? I don't know. One of those guys. One of those late night people. Anyways, so Rob Ford's his brother. Doug Ford. Jeez, I just can't get them straight. Doug Ford is his brother, and Doug Ford.
Well, one of them's alive and one of them isn't. So get them straight, Dave.
Doug Ford's alive, but Rob Ford's spirit is very much alive. No. Anyway, Doug Ford is Premier of Ontario now as of 2018 election, and previously there was Liberal government, and I was kind of reading a little bit about the history of it, and the Liberals were actually swept out of power this time. They don't even have official party status right now in Ontario. They only have 7 seats out of 124.
There's a message.
Which is intense because the Liberals were majority previous to this.
Right, eh?
But anyway, so that's kind of the context here. So we have the Ontario PC Party in power right now with a majority. Anyways, so this article was just a little tidbit. Actually, it's been kind of edited since I originally posted it. And I guess they got some of the details wrong, but it's basically the same spirit. Recently in the PC Party convention in Ontario, they were they passed a motion to debate whether or not the party should recognize gender identity. So it's not official policy yet, but they've opened it up for debate for the next for their next convention where they will officially decide on that policy. So having said that, why this is interesting is because it kind of ties into what they've been doing with the sex ed curriculum there.
Right.
More context here, but in 2015, the Liberals created a new sex ed curriculum that was much more gender inclusive and had a lot to do with the diversity, consent, on and on and on. You can read more about that in the article if you research a bit. But anyway, so what the Conservatives did is they've already changed that curriculum, and now it's a lot more vague, it seems. The idea of consent isn't really in there. The gender diversity stuff is very, very minimal. They even use
who's against consent?
I know. Well, I know.
Like, how is this controversial? I'm really confused.
Well, it's so bizarre because I guess what they say in their curriculum is a lot more about abstinence, and they have one thing correct where it's like, if you're abstinent, you will 100% not get an STD. Of course.
That's the meme that Christians, I've been hearing that for many years.
Which is fine, but that's just not the reality of youth. But anyway, all this context.
I was a good girl, Dave. I don't know about you.
You were, well, let's not go there. Anyway, put me on the spot. No, anyway, all of this just to say that the PCs have some pretty regressive policies regarding gender, regarding sexuality. And I know Cory tied another article in here about what's happening in the States where they're trying to change how you identify that as well and really strictly base it on biology, which really makes no sense. I'll let you read that article to kind of sift through that. But I guess really what this article is really signaling is there is definitely a shift in Ontario, at least politically speaking, in how they might start addressing some of these gender issues that we thought we were making progress on. We thought we were moving towards a little more inclusiveness, a little more acceptance of modern science on gender.
Yeah.
And when I say modern science, I mean, I know it's social sciences and people get all up in arms about that. Well, it's not Y chromosomes and blah, blah, blah and all that crap. But I mean, gender is a totally biology you can have some biological aspects to gender, but I think ultimately, Dave wasn't a good girl. I just saw the comment in the chat room. Anyway, but ultimately gender is a social thing, right? I mean, and that's something we've known through anthropology for years now, and other social sciences. So anyway, all that progress in social science is kind of just being ignored and being seen as just not scientific. I mean, there's a lot of things in these articles that are kind of talking about how that gender is not based on science, which is bullshit, because it actually is. It's just not based on the science they want to recognize. So.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Their rejection of science is just as cultural as anything else.
Well, that's just it, right? So,
like, it's just, yeah, they're entrenched in their own view of the gender binary, right?
Well, the gender binary, and it's, again, the gender binary, every time they argue it, and just like in these articles, it's always about chromosomes and about sorry, I'm losing the words right now. Genitalia. It's always about these kinds of things. But even that gets all grayed out after a while. And
you know, one thing I don't get, like, why do you need science for this? If somebody tells me they identify as one gender or another, or they don't want to identify as their gender, I don't give a fuck. I don't care what gender. Like, I want you to be comfortable and happy. So cool. If you want me to call you, you know, Mr. instead of Mrs., cool. I don't mind. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, that's just it.
Like, so I don't need science to tell me not to be a dick. Nope. Like, that's it.
Well, that's it. And that's the funny thing. It's like, it's like, I still want to argue that science, that they're just
fair
untouched.
Fair enough. But I'm just saying, it's not, I don't even need it.
Yeah, no, you don't. And that's the funny thing is like, we shouldn't be having to fight the battle this way. There just should be some civil decency there. But there's definitely some threatening from, I would say that people who are against this feel threatened by what it represents and what it might teach their children and all this crap. I've heard that a lot, where people were concerned in Ontario that their children were learned too early about certain sexual things and stuff. And I'm like, well, there's definitely
children will learn way too early not to be a dick.
That's the problem. That's the problem, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Like, it's, yeah, no.
We can't have our kids learning to accept people as they are.
No. So, I mean, I hate the fact that you're right. Like, it sucks that we have to argue with the science thing, but they keep claiming that it's unscientific, which makes zero sense. And I just get angry over that, because it's.
I think of the ContraPoints video where she says, "It is not I who misunderstand science, Ben Shapiro. It is you who misunderstands language."
Yeah, Ben is the worst for this. Ben,
awful.
Ben, the way he argues this. Well, you know what I'm really sad about is I still haven't seen somebody like really take Ben to school on this properly. Like, I feel like he gets away with it too often, where he'll start having these arguments about biology and chromosomes and crap like that, and nobody is properly citing the like social science to like dispute the things he's saying, right?
Right.
And I just want to see that interview. Like, I don't know who he has to talk to for that to happen, but he finds a way to weasel his way around
not
being
Stephen
asked.
Harper.
Well, right. He's not being asked the right questions by the right people. I think that's why he keeps getting away with it. And at least I haven't seen that interview yet, if there is one.
Can I say, like, with respect to children, like, my sister is a lesbian, and I never really talked to my kid about it. She just always had girlfriends and didn't really bring it up. I just how it was for him. And when she got married last summer, we went to the wedding, and it was just what. And he has never asked me why his aunt is with a woman and not a man. Never. It's never. I just assume it's never occurred to him. Like, we talked about it in the context last year of Pride Week, which they had at school, which is great. But like, other than that, like, in his 7 years of life, he's never brought it up. He's never thought it was weird. It's just not a thing. Because if you,
that's just it.
You know what I mean? It's just normal. So we just don't even like, and that's kind of how I chose to go about it. I'm just like, this is Auntie JoJo. This is her girlfriend.
Yeah. Like my son asked that about my friend too, who she just got engaged to another woman, and he's like, oh, are they, she's like, are they girlfriend and girlfriend? I'm like, yep. Okay. That
is it.
Like, that was the end of conversation. It was like, oh,
really?
Okay. Like, these are nice people feeding me. I don't care.
There's a great from the Daily Show. What's that guy's name who's married to Samantha Bee?
Oh,
he's just a man. I only know him for his
Bee's
wife.
Husband. I don't know.
Samantha Bee's husband went to Russia and interviewed a Russian politician who was making this argument about what will you tell children when we have gays, and you're like, well, just tell him that this guy likes other men, or like this man likes to like is married to another man, and that woman's married to another woman, and the guy was like, wow. Or like, it was like, I'm not doing it as well as he did, but like, yeah, whatever his name is.
There's this weird understanding among some like really
Mr. B.
really right wing people when it comes to gender that
Mr. B.
that that like somehow the sexuality of like of lesbian couples or gay couples is like so out there or something. Like it's like it's like vulgar and it's going to expose people. Like I just don't understand where they get this idea.
Like it's not like you're like, okay, and then the one lesbian licks the other lesbians. Well, you're like, no, like, it's not like what you're telling your child.
That's not how it's working. It's just you're just saying, hey, these two people love each other. They're in a relationship. End of story. Like I just don't know.
Girlfriend, or whatever. I don't know.
Anyways, I just want to say, to wrap this story up a little bit, I am very concerned about what's happening in this country as a whole. And I mean, I know that our youth are a little more open to certain things.
Okay, our country may not be perfect, but it's not a whole, Dave.
I said as a whole. Come on.
I'm so sorry.
No, like, so I guess my thing is that I just feel like they're maybe in the gender issue. I know they're getting some pushback with this, even from their own party members. So I mean, I'm feeling like even though the majority voted for it in their convention, there are definitely people within legislature that aren't really okay with it, with going backwards. So I do see that's a little glimmer of hope. But I guess what I'm seeing on a larger scale in Canada is just this kind of regression away from people's rights, and I just like, because the labor stuff going on right now has really been pissing me off.
Yep.
And then there's other things definitely to do with PC culture and on and on and on. So I do worry, because Ontario is kind of our measuring stick in Canada in some ways. It's our largest population.
It is quite concerning that they are the ones that went backwards.
Exactly right. You know, like Saskatchewan, I could understand. Maybe
I don't know, people. If you've ever met people in Ontario, you wouldn't be that surprised.
I don't know. Like, I mean, yeah.
It's just because you're hanging out with the liberal elites in downtown Toronto, Dave. You never like experienced, the true people in the suburbs like I did.
Maybe I'm hanging out with too many socialists.
You probably didn't see very many people wearing wolf polar.
Nobody's hanging out with too many socialists. Just right now.
Dave, I'm saying you didn't encounter the people who wear wolf polar fleeces all winter.
Yeah,
right? You know what I mean? Like it's got like it's a polar fleece with a wolf howling at the moon. That's Ontario.
Are you talking about like Ontario suburbs?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But all the people are in the
Dirty
city.
schwa.
No, there is definitely a rural versus urban dichotomy in all of Canada, really.
But it's not even like, it's like hipster versus suburban. Like it's
they're like scenesters there, aren't they? Or no, I don't know. They're kind of. I've always taken Montreal as more of hipsterville, and Toronto's more like.
Oh my God,
Trendyville.
Toronto is fully hipsterville.
But maybe you're not defining hipsters correctly.
You can't even have French hipsters. French are
no. The French are all hipsters.
You have to be totally Anglo to be a hipster.
I've been to both cities. They're totally.
I've been to
hipster.
both too, but
they listen to folk music and they wear like artsy clothes and stuff.
Je ne suis pas d'accord avec toi.
Toronto's more like joggers and like flat brimmed hats and like fancy like hip hop clothing, things like that, right?
We can agree to disagree. Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, fuck you, Doug Ford.
Fuck you, Doug Ford.
But not really gross.
The end. All right. We might as well cue the outro music then.
We might as well.
For all the things, you can check out the show notes on our website, brainstormblog.net, and on our hosting page, thebrainstormpodcast.com. Thanks to our financial supporters, Kayla, Janet, Kim, Stephanie, Zach, the Utah Outcasts, Will, Aaron, Daryl, Destin Sucks, Bob, Glenn, Destin Doesn't Suck That Much, Magnus, several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave, Positively Skeptical, Rob, the Podunk Polymath, the Flying Spaghetti Monster, Sauce Be Upon Him, Freethinker215, and Larry. If you want to join them and help the show grow, then you can do that at patreon.com/brainstormpodcast.
And you can think of an awesome name.
That's right.
Top those ones.
Or you can go and buy some stuff at tpublic.com/stores/brainstorm-podcast-gear. You can join us every 2 weeks on brainstormradio.net. Our next live show is December 7th, and our guest is going to be Regina Barber DeGraff.
Gina?
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I love Gina.
That's who I've got booked on the schedule anyway.
You know another guest?
She is the podcast host of Spark Science.
There we go.
Oh, cool.
And she's a friend of mine.
Awesome. I want to give a big thanks again to Dr. Gunter for joining us. You can find more of her stuff at drgunter.wordpress.com. Thank you, Lisa.
Me?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, thanks, Cory. What am I thanking you for?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Thanks, Dan.
Me?
Yes, you. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
And thanks to Rene, though he's gone, for joining me tonight.
Yeah, no thanks.
Fuck you, Rene.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dave, for our intro music. Thanks to Aaron Rabbi from Embrace the Void for doing our voiceover for our intro. You can find his stuff at voidpod.com. Thanks to Alex Capper-Murdoch for doing the voiceover for our ads, and thanks to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff over at aloststateofmind.com. All music played is either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info page on our website, brainstormblog.net. Make sure to tune in to brainstormafterhours.com for the bonus content before it goes patron only. Remember to give us a rating, a thumbs up, a fave on your podcatcher of choice. Join our Facebook group, like our page, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our subreddit, sign up for our newsletter, share the show, and spread the word. The more you share, comment, and like our stuff, the more it helps the show grow. Thanks for listening, and remember, the truth matters.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Cory, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.